You are a dyslexic, ESL, early years teacher, curriculum designer from Hong Kong, a podcaster, teacher trainer, international speaker, published author, and post-it fanatic. So we have that in common. You can't see my walls, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. I have a whole tree here.
Yep, birds of a feather and all.
Yeah, but thanks so much. I really appreciate you doing this, and you're the only one I'm worried about. Set that 10 minutes. We have bets going on. For those of you who haven't placed your bet yet, will Queenie finish on time? I say she'll end up on slide 2.
This is painful. This is like really painful for me, but I'll try. I'll do 120 words per minute, so you guys have to catch up.
Right. And for the recording, we'll put it in slow time because I've heard her talk fast.
Yep.
All right. So I'll set the timer and take it away.
Perfect. Thanks. Okay, guys. Hi, I'm Queenie Tan, and you can see here a picture of my family. I'm a single parent. I'm dyslexic. My eldest son, Charles, who's in red, is also dyslexic. He's 14 this year, and the youngest one, who's the evil genius around here, he's Kevin, and he's just turned 11. So we are a world schooling family. We travel all over the world 11 and a half months a year, and I move from conference to conference and school to school, teaching teachers and working with parents. And that's something that I absolutely enjoy doing. So yes, I am not really from Hong Kong anymore. I am in Spain right now. And next week I'll be in Washington, DC. So this is basically a bit about myself. Today I'm going to talk about children with learning difficulties. Now, I don't like to use the word learning difficulties, but that's what people know it as. I like to call it learning difference because there's nothing wrong with the way we learn. It's not difficult to learn, but we learn differently. So this is a picture of me. I was 6 years old when this picture was taken. FYI, it's not my birthday. It's my sister's birthday. My sister's the little girl sitting behind me. But I'm so used to stealing the limelight a lot. So so this is me. And I am originally from Malaysia, and we start school typically at about 7. And it's for me, it's really difficult because I did not realize that the school systems did not cater to me. So I'm hoping that in this session, I can help you see how frustrating it is for children like me. And statistics show that 1 in 5 students struggle with dyslexia. So if you're wondering, what is dyslexia actually? Well, dyslexia is basically a difficulty, or, people with dyslexia, we process print very differently, very, very slowly. And it still is a huge struggle for me to process print because everybody expects me to read or process print as quickly as everybody else. So if it takes you 5 minutes to read a page of, Harry Potter, it will take me 20 minutes, maybe even 25. And it's still an issue today. So, a lot of people say, oh, can we cure dyslexia? You can't cure dyslexia. You can't change the way your brain works. But I can tell you this, I can read children 5 times faster than everybody else. I can read colors and patterns 5 times faster than everybody else. So do I have difficulty learning? I don't. I just read differently from everybody else, like everybody else. So I'm not an alien or anything like that. But hopefully, I can help you see what it's like from a person who's a little bit different. So look at this picture here. This is a girl smiling in class. This is not me. Absolutely not me. This is more like me. Okay, where as soon as I see print, I'm like, oh my God, what language is this written in? And so I went to school, and as a young learner, it was not a pleasant experience. My teachers tried their best to motivate me. I went to school in the 80s where in the 80s, we don't really know what dyslexia is at the time. So either you are a very smart, clever student who gets all A's, or you're a really stupid and lazy student who fails your exam. So I was struggling to read, and every year I was falling further and further behind, and I wasn't getting any help at all. The teachers only knew one way to teach. So they tried to motivate me, in all their good-heartedness. They tried to motivate me, and they say, Queenie, look here. If you don't pass your exam this term, you're going to be standing on the chair for the whole term. And during the next term exam, if you fail again, you're going to be standing on the chair, on the table. We're going to upgrade you to the table for the whole term. And if you pass, you can sit back down. So I spent a lot of my school years, 11 years of it actually, standing on the table and the chair. And from up there, I got a really good bird's eye view of the whole classroom. And I see children who are daydreaming, looking out the window. I see a lot of children who are passing notes. That was our SMS, or texting back in the day where we pass notes. I see a lot of children spitting, using straws to do spitballs. I see a lot of children getting distracted, a lot of children who are doodling. You'd be amazed to see what you can see from up there on the table for like 11 years, mostly. And I realized that there's only maybe 20 or 30% of the class who's actually paying attention. And that shows that, whatever teaching approach that the teachers are using only caters to 30% of the population. And so there's lots of us with learning difference. We have, and I'm not even going to give it a list because it's a really long list, but I think that it's time for us to vary our teaching approach so that we can try and cater to as many, children with different learning abilities as much as possible. Okay. So, I have seen a lot of children who also have learning difference. My son is one of them, and I put him in a school with a really good intervention program where they pull him out, give him remedial work, and help him with a lot of accommodations. But it still didn't work because I find that they're still using the same approach, just doing more of it and moving a bit slower, but they did not really change their approach. And so I find that, this really demoralizes children. It affects the way that they see themselves. And, I thought that I was mentally and intellectually retarded for the longest time when I was at school because, everybody thought that I was stupid and lazy. And, I didn't, on one hand, I didn't really feel that way because I was punching in a lot of hours. So in Malaysia, in case you're unaware, our school systems have, they force us to learn two languages, the national language, which is Malay, and the international language, which is English. But my first language is Chinese. So I have to learn 3 languages, and I'm already struggling with one. So if you're wondering, how did this woman pass, her O-levels? Well, I'll tell you a little secret. This is what I did. I memorized everything. I memorized the spelling. I memorized text. I memorized everything. So if you ask me to memorize your phone number right now, I'll probably punch you in the face because I have no more memory space. I'm completely run out. My quota is full already. But I memorized everything. I worked so hard. Every weekends after school, I'm memorizing stuff while my friends are running around outside playing football, climbing trees. And I'm going, what am I doing wrong here? And so it was really frustrating time for me. And to tell you the truth, I didn't learn to read till I was 17. But don't tell anybody that. 17. So I'm going to share with you a few strategies here so that you can think about, doing it differently in your classroom. The first one is strengths-based approach. So strengths-based approach basically means you look out for your children's strengths. Okay. If their strength is in, visual, it's more visual, then, I would suggest that you do more visual learning with them. And just as Joan came and talked about, learning to read visual cues, I truly believe that that is important. And even as a teacher myself, when I read to my students, I always have pop-up books with very big pictures rather than a lot of text. I always have big pictures. A lot of our discussions are open-ended, and I'm always encouraging them to ask questions. So always look at where their strengths lies. Interestingly enough, we traveled the world. We were in Japan earlier this year for 3 months, and I went to a class where they teach me how to make Japanese dessert. But the problem is the class was not in English. It was in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. But in that one class, I've learned probably 20 Japanese words. I've memorized 20 Japanese words. And it's not as painful as in school before, because this time I actually like cook. I mean, I'm a really big fan of cooking and being in the kitchen. And so anything that is, based on something that I'm good at, it's easier for me to learn because I feel like I've already gained mastery over it. So so look out for what your students' strengths are rather than what their weaknesses are. And this is something that frustrates me a lot, because when my son was in school, I had to go to IEP meetings, and in IEP meetings, they tell you all the things that they can't do. That was really, really frustrating for me. Second strategy is about interest-based learning. If you can find out what your students are interested in, then teaching them English would be so much easier. So like for me, I went to my Japanese, dessert making class. And even though I didn't learn any Japanese at all, before that, but because it's something that I'm really interested in, I took the time to Google Translate everything. And it was effortless to me because it was something that I enjoy doing. Third strategy is to use a multifaceted approach. So today we had a lineup of really amazing speakers. I'm so happy to be and honored to be associated with them, even though they have way more years and experience than me. But if you use a multifaceted approach and you inject a lot of fun and games and music and movement in there and stories, rather than just, okay, so here's a bunch of text, memorize this, fill in all the blanks. If you use a multifaceted approach, you can address students of different kinds of learning styles and abilities rather than just, one track approach. Okay. So just as Einstein says, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Okay. I finished, Rob. Now you owe me money. Yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I totally enjoyed that. This is like a personal achievement for me.
Well, it was wonderful, but next time you think you could talk a little faster?
Oh, yeah. I'll let you know when I can do that.